record on this computer.
This meeting is being recorded.
Yeah. So now you got your little warning. So anyway, I'm going to turn it over to Rebecca. Rebecca will do it there. And I appreciate everybody being here. So I'm going to turn that time over to her and let her introduce herself.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Teeples. I am grateful to be here. I'm really excited to be able to share not only JustServe, but also some of the benefits that come to all of us from serving. I am going to ask you to, if you have questions as I'm presenting, you won't necessarily see my face, but please just either use your reaction down below and raise your hand. I'll try to watch for that, or go ahead and interrupt me verbally and say, hey, I have a question. So feel free to respond back if I ask a question, even if you don't see me. So hopefully that will help.
They can put it in the chat also, Rebecca.
What?
They can put it in the chat and then I'll.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
So Scott will manage the chat there. I am going to go ahead and share my screen at this point, and then we're going to walk through a couple of PowerPoint presentations. And again, if you have questions or comments, let's talk. So the first thing I'd like to share with you is a little bit specifically about JustServe. This is an organization with which I work and volunteer with full-time. The reasons why we serve are simple, and they can be as simple or as complex as we want. I love this quote from Booker T. Washington: those who are happiest are those who do the most for others. And Mother Teresa taught us that if you can't feed 100 people, then just feed one. I love knowing that each of us have the power to reach one person. If just one person today is benefited by our being here, then we've done good in the world. JustServe helps people around the world find ways to serve in their own communities. It also helps us match our capacity and availability to the project. I'll teach you more about that as we go. And that can mean that for example, in this picture, this child would need a different type of volunteer service than perhaps this man or this woman. And they might need a different volunteer service than what you would need. So there are opportunities that we can do remotely from our own couch, our own kitchen table. There are other volunteer opportunities that will take us out into the community and keep us actively engaged there. And there are benefits for both kinds of service. JustServe is a free community service. It's sponsored as a service by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The JustServe.org website is used by faith, nonprofit, community, and government organizations to post service opportunities. People in the community use JustServe.org to work with community partners to identify needs and then respond to the needs in the spirit of charitable service. I've been serving with JustServe for a while now, as you saw from my intro, and I'm still surprised and impressed by the diversity of opportunities to connect and to help.
One of the things that we have a lot of questions from the community, faith-based organizations, is how do we give back to the community? How do we get involved? The JustServe program has basically allowed us to give volunteers a direction.
It allows you to go in, find something that fits your personality, your family.
If I could sit down with another council member in another city that was either looking at this or had talked about it, I think what I would say to them and what I have said to them is that this is one of those types of programs that will, again, help your city be a success.
I just love volunteering here. It kind of takes me out of myself and puts me into the community, and it just makes me feel like I'm making a difference.
Welcome to those who joined us. I am sharing a little bit about JustServe.org and how it can serve and benefit us as we go forward. The first thing I'd like to share is that it makes it easier for us to find needs in the community. The faith, nonprofit, community, and government organizations post needs on JustServe. They'll tell you what's needed, when and where it will happen, what skills you need, and what age group it could be appropriate for. That way, if you are needing to do a service from your own home and you don't have the capacity to or mobility to go out into the community, you can find opportunities to serve right from your own home. The oldest volunteer that I know of is in her 90s, and she volunteers at the food bank each week. Every time the food bank needs to, in our community, needs to send out a flyer, she is the one who takes the time to fold all the flyers, to stamp them, and get them prepared for mailing. And I love that. That's something that meets her capacity, and she's able to meaningfully contribute to helping draw in millions of pounds of food to help feed those in need in my own community. So it doesn't matter what our age or our capacity, we can find ways that we can serve. And what we do is meaningful. As we, carefully and thoughtfully select service opportunities, we can choose things that match our interests or our skills and availability. And in that way, we can build our community. For organizations, it's easy to post service projects. I'll show you how to do that a little bit later in our presentation. With JustServe, I love the volunteer opportunities I get because of the people I meet and the people I can connect with. That has to be one of the most meaningful and fulfilling aspects of serving. Whether I'm walking into a warming center or I'm walking into the food bank or anywhere else in my community, it's the people that I learn to love and know and connect with that make serving so rich and full. JustServe makes it easy to invite others to join you. One group of youth in the Treasure Valley area in Idaho made a goal that whenever they went to serve, they'd make sure that they brought a friend with them. So they were always including others and helping others to participate in whatever it was, whether they were going shopping with seniors or whether they were working at their local food pantry. They would always invite a friend to go with them. And I love the inclusivity and the simpleness. JustServe can make our life easier. Instead of wondering or worrying about what we can do to make an impact in our communities today, instead of worrying about all of the negativity, literally JustServe can help us find
we had our shelter meeting this past Thursday.
Yes. Oh, maybe that was for someone else's shelter meeting. I love that JustServe allows us to identify what the real needs are and helps us to become involved in our communities in a way that's meaningful to us and that will impact our individual space. This, if you put in your phone, you can download the JustServe app. And if you look in your Apple Store or if you look in your Google Play Store, see this blue heart in the center, you'll become more familiar with it. But it will say JustServe. It's a free app and it will help you identify all of the opportunities that are in your immediate area as well as those that are worldwide, because JustServe is a worldwide organization. So I can serve in Africa, I can serve in Belgium, I can serve around the world from my own home. When we log in, if you're using the app, it will ask you to log in with your Facebook or your Gmail or your email address. You can put in your email and username. Keep a record of your password in case, I don't know about you, but sometimes I forget mine. So keep a record of your login, and then it will take you to the next page. If you were a community organization or you saw a need, say in your church, say in with your local food pantry, you saw a need and you wanted to reach out, you can literally submit a project just by clicking on this one button in the right-hand corner. I hope you can see my cursor there. You will click on that and it will take you to a new page that will look like this. The project submission will ask who is going to be responsible as the contact person for this. You'll need a phone number and an email. So anyone with questions about your project, if you are sewing or crocheting little hats for children going through chemotherapy, you would write in your name, and then you would go to the next button, and then it would ask you about who you are. If you're an organization or a group of people, then you would need to write down the project details and when and where they can make those donations and when and where they would meet. And then that project you would submit next, and it would come to your local JustServe representative like me. And then we would review it, make sure that we have all the questions answered so that the project is easy for other people to volunteer for. And then we'll post it online. When that happens, it will look like this. For example, in this particular area, this is in Austin, Texas, within a 5-mile opportunity, there were 51 opportunities of service. And that's everything from baking cakes for youth in need to picking up furniture donations for refugees. There are all different types of opportunities. Let me share just a few from our Klamath from our Klamath area. Excuse me. For example, if I come to Klamath and I put in my zip code here in Oregon and I push, and there's your volunteer remotely. If I push search, this is what's going to come up. Within a 25-mile radius, there's 67 different opportunities. I love sharing these opportunities with people. You can look at this as a way to connect with a grandchild, a way to connect with the youth in your neighborhood, a way to connect with anyone who is in your sphere of influence. It can work for professional development if the people are younger, but also for people who are more mature. You have a skill set that the younger generation needs. And so by volunteering, you can bring your skill set to these opportunities. For example, here in Klamath, you could teach an art class and help donate supplies for them. You could work up at this medical center, the volunteer center. You can do warm vet programs. Let me just give you an example by clicking on this read to a shelter pet. I don't know about any of you, but this was the first one that surprised me. You would, organization is the Klamath Falls Animal Shelter, and then it gives you the address and who to reach and contact. And then it would tell you a little bit more. And if you liked that idea of coming and helping ease the anxiety of the pets, then you could reach out to them by clicking the check it out button down here. And it's that simple. That's all you have to do. Let me give you a few other ideas. These are just some. Here's one that's a worldwide. In refugee camps around the world, they have these music classes that are offered, and they need these bags sewn to hold all of the musical instruments. And then refugees who volunteer within the camp then go around and teach music to the children so that their education can continue and that their lives can be enriched. And what they're asking for is simply someone to sew the bags. And they ask people to sew 5 bags at a time. So that's something simple that you can do from your own home. If you really like something, you can put your heart on it and then come back through and look and follow your own things. This is an interesting one. What if you didn't want to go anywhere? What if you have a very demanding job and you're working with people all day and you actually need time to relax and be alone? This one would allow you to literally watch the wildlife around you and allow you to go to an observation spot on a regular basis, whether it's your backyard, a local park, or your favorite spot on the beach, or a place that you hike regularly. While you're there, you would log into this naturebounds.org and put in your information of what you see. I saw 2 blue herring today. I saw 5 sparrow. Whatever your observations are, you would put that in, and it gives them data on what's happening in the world around us. So there are all types of varieties of volunteer opportunities that you can take advantage of. Does anyone have any questions about anything they've seen so far?
Can you go back to that screen you were on?
You bet. This one?
Yeah, and then slide down a ways. I want them to see what's on that. A little further down. They should be able to see the FCE one right there. Anybody recognize that symbol?
Mm-hmm.
And artist Snyder ought to know a little bit about that. She's from North Dakota.
So here in Klamath Falls, this is one service that's ongoing. There is an opportunity to sew these comfort bears, and they have the instructions, they have everything here. And then of course, Bonnie Teeples is the one who is the contact person for the Oregon Association here for this particular project. Is there anything else that someone saw that they'd like to look at?
I think you ought to just skim down through them just like you're doing.
Okay, so this one is solid ground. It's equine assisted therapy. You have homemade blankets for children in need, the senior center, handyman. I love this one. If you had skills as a handyman or knew somebody who did, you could help people make basic repairs that would otherwise cost them hundreds of dollars, and just go help people maintain their independence. Treasures that they're fun stores here in town that are all 100% donation and all volunteer. Great things. This is a unique one. This one also is nationwide. It's Be My Eyes, and you literally are able to help someone with low or no vision to connect within their community. So if I had somebody here in Klamath that had low vision or needed assistance, I could sign up and this would connect me with them. And then I could help be their guide if we were going shopping or different things. It would help me connect with them and assist them in their day-to-day life. And it might just be 1 or 2 hours a week, and it could be more. I get, as a volunteer, I get to set my time. It's not like a job where it's 9 to 5. You can fluctuate. If you can go 1 week, great. And if you can't, then you don't sign up for those time slots. You can be a mentor. You can deliver Meals on Wheels. They need grandparent. I was just on another meeting, and in our community, we're looking for volunteer grandparents. The family unit is so important, and for children to be able to connect with grandparents is such a high need. We need those generational continuums to strengthen the upcoming generation, and so there are all types of opportunities. This one's beautiful. I do this on a volunteer basis through a different organization, not the Klamath Hospice, but it's called The Story of My Life. I do one that's a family search, and I'm able to gather people's life stories and then record them in such a way that they can share them back with their own family in a meaningful way. And sometimes it's just a few pages, and sometimes it's a book and it's got lots of pictures. Depending on what the needs are, you could help people make a memory that they can then pass on before they pass away. We have a pear farm where all of the pears are grown and harvested by volunteers, and it's a wonderful experience. Here's another, familysearch.org. They have family history opportunities. The United Nations, this one is nationwide, as is the Smithsonian down here in the bottom right. They need digital volunteers. You can help make historical documents available throughout the country. And I love that. The American Cancer Society, Little Free Libraries, and a billion graves. The lasagna love was one of the ones I think the students at the high school thought was the most fun. They need people to feed people. I love that. So if you like to cook, you can cook for others. Anyone else have any other questions?
I guess I missed the first part. Is this page listed only on that volunteer page about, or how do you find what's in your area?
So if I come back, let me go back. That's an excellent question. Thank you for asking. I'm going to come all the way back to the very beginning of JustServe. So if I wanted to change my zip code, just for kicks, will you share a zip code near you?
97101.
97101. Okay. In your particular area, within 25 miles, you have 330 opportunities of serving. So all you have to do is change a zip code and it will tell you what's available within that area. And if you wanted something closer, you could say, let's say just 10 miles. 300 opportunities seems like a lot to sift through. But within 10 miles, here are some different opportunities specifically in your area. There's a homeless family outreach in Polk County, admission for the gate attendant, Manville Airport. Oh, apparently there's an air show coming up in September and October, and they need gate attendants. So if you wanted to see the air show for free, there you go. Go be a gate attendant. Help Heart serve our community. Oh, interesting. Let's
Okay.
just click on it for kicks. Oh, you have horse adaptive riding and therapy. That's wonderful. So providing emotional and hands-on support care to the clients is directed by the riding instructor. So assisting with the riding for the children so they can improve their capacity. Back to the projects. Does anyone else have a question?
Maybe somebody else has a zip code they'd like to look at.
Yeah, if you'll go to justserve.org, if you look up here, this is all you have to type in, www.justserve.org. And as you put that information in, you can put in your own locale, or you can click this button that says volunteer remotely. When you volunteer remotely, this will give you opportunities to serve for international groups. This group has multiple, the volunteer community manager. They're looking for a public relations person, and they are literally just seeking to interact with people and provide compassionate emotional support worldwide. It's a big one. Chemo care bags, a blood stem or a marrow donor. There are just endless opportunities when you go worldwide. The 1950 Census Community Project, if you're good on the computer and you enjoy doing data entry, this one is excellent. So those are some of the ideas, and you can look up more of that in your area. Is there anything else you'd like to?
I have a question. Your experience with where you're volunteering. I mean, some folks I know and are like chronic volunteers and tend to get burnt out. Do you have suggestions for how to, like for our Friends of the Library group or different groups we've been involved in, not just recruiting the volunteers, but how to keep them and how to show appreciation to them in some way that actually means something, I think. Because I think a lot of volunteers want to do a lot, tend to get asked to do even more. And I think sometimes they get burnt out, you know?
I know that's true for myself too. I think that's a possibility for any person. So one of the things that I find most beneficial is to really make sure that I'm grounded first. So if I take care of my own foundation for what I need for a healthy life, and then I make sure, because I still have 6 children at home, I have to make sure that they're covered. So I start with my own foundation, my own spiritual and physical foundation. Then I make sure that I'm taking care of my family. And then I just have to put boundaries up where I say, okay, I can meet, I have this much capacity this week, and this week I might have more hours than next week. And then I offer and can fill up that time. And that's one of the things I like about JustServe is if you just have 2 hours, then you just have 2 hours and you only sign up for 2 hours and that's it. And some of the projects, the things that I do usually are on site. So I'm going to those places. I go to the food bank with my daughters during the week. And so that's a time commitment. Other projects on JustServe are really flexible, like the one that had the bags. I could sew those bags as fast or as slow as I needed. They just need them by the end of the year. They need 50 completed bags to meet their goals. So I have flexibility in my time. So I think it's really just signing up only for what you have capacity for and just being willing to be flexible. As far as showing volunteer appreciation, I'll be honest. I think it has been really meaningful to me when someone has just said, thank you. Or, for example, this last Monday, I gave a presentation at a local high school about JustServe and specifically about the benefits that come, which are have a huge impact on youth. I'll show you that later in the presentation, but later in the day, another student had asked more questions about it. And I thought at that point I had left the building, but something was still inside percolating and growing inside that person that made them want to change and see how they could do things differently. And to me, as I consider like what is a reward for me, to me, that's the reward. If someone can think about what I've shared and then find ways that they can make a difference in their community, that's enough. To me, that is the reward. So I would hope that, maybe it's a card specifically identifying what somebody has done. Maybe it's just a verbal thank you. I don't know what it might be for each person, but I think as you're just cognizant of their needs and the pull of life, the stretching of our schedules and our energy and our demands, I think as we're cognizant of each other in our service, we can just be aware and be encouraging and acknowledge the challenges and also acknowledge the need for rest and celebrate what we're able to do. It's like Mother Teresa said, if you can't feed 100 people, just feed one. And some days that one might be yourself, and then go from there. So build your foundation and then go up. So I think that's just my own personal experience.
Thank you.
Has anyone else had any experience where they've needed to take a moment from their service and find a way to rest? I think as a parent, we're doing that all the time. There's always an ebb and flow. Let me share with you some of the benefits that come from service. And as I complete this final PowerPoint, I'd like to invite you to just consider which of the benefits that you're about to see could you use in your life? And then consider, is there something you can do in your own family or your school, your workplace, or your community that could benefit them? And then find opportunities on JustServe.org. JustServe's primary objective is to relieve suffering, to care for the poor and needy, and enhance the quality of life in the community. Caring for others is in our DNA. We begin our life literally as a baby in arms, literally wired for connection for one another, and it requires constant care. And that continues throughout our lives, that we need love and we need service and we need caring, and then we become capable of caring for others. We are wired to care for one another. As citizens, when we engage in service and reach out to our communities, benefits come to both the giver and the receiver. So consider which of the following benefits would most help you or your community. Just as a little background, this is coming from AmeriCorps research in 2019, but in 2017, 77 million adults contributed 6.9 billion hours of volunteering. That's a billion with a B. I love that. They generated $167 billion in economic value to their communities, as well as an unquantifiable amount of good from the actual service they provided. Here's some interesting data. For people who are greater than 50 years of age, this study was put together by the University of British Columbia and Harvard University. And they were looking at the impact of those who served anywhere. I'm going to focus on the orange right here. They served more than 100 hours of service per year. That means 2 hours per week. By simply serving 2 hours per week, they had a 17% reduction in the likelihood of any physical limitation coming into their life. And they had a 44% reduction in all-cause mortality. In addition to that, they had increased sense of purpose, reduced feelings of loneliness, depression, and hopelessness. When we help strangers, this next study comes from the Journal of Adolescence, and this specifically was focused on youth and the impact on adolescents when they serve specifically strangers. And they found that when they serve family and when they serve friends, it's helpful. But the biggest change comes when we serve people we don't know. For example, for those who, if you look at this on a scale of 0 to 5, for those who are serving regularly each week, the higher their service levels, the greater their hope, the greater their gratitude, and the greater their self-esteem. If you look at those margins, I apologize. If you look at those margins, it's almost an entire point of increase. That's like going from a C to a B or from a B to an A. It literally is a full service or a full step up just by serving strangers. Not only that, but they had a full decrease down, and this scale only goes to 3. So this measurement is actually greater than what we just saw. The likelihood of decreasing aggression and decreasing delinquency increases as teens serve. Serving helps teens develop a moral identity, which is then incompatible with negative social behaviors. And as we look at the world around us and we see what's happening with the youth of this generation and the violence that so many are prone to, simply by increasing service and by decreasing aggression, we can help those around us live better lives and build better communities. And that means a lot to me, where I see so many shootings and so many different things. I think if I can reach out and reach the youth, you have youth in your own life. They're your next door neighbors. They're in your congregations. They're in your local high schools. They're all around you. And as you reach out to them, they're your grandchildren, and you help them engage in regular service. They'll learn from you, and these benefits can come to them of greater hope, greater self-esteem, less aggression, less delinquency. Here's a great, this is coming from psychnet.org. In this particular study, a group of Spanish corporate employees were given one of 3 jobs. They became a giver, a receiver, or they did nothing for 1 month. Notice that it's just for 4 weeks. And during that 4 weeks, they were to give 5 acts of service. That could be a cup of coffee. It could be a lunch out. It could be a note on the keyboard. When they came in, it could be a flower. It could be anything that someone felt like was service to that person. So as you can imagine, the givers felt good and the receivers felt good. They benefited mutually, both short and long term. All of the employees involved improved on a weekly measure of competence and autonomy. I love this part. Now remember, there were 3 groups. One group was doing nothing, but they still felt better seeing good happen around them. And their competence and autonomy went up also. So I think that's important for us to remember. Even if the people next door to us aren't necessarily serving, our actions have an impact and influence those around us. Also, the givers became less depressed and more satisfied, not just with their job, but overall with their lives. The receivers came happier after 2 months. I had to stop and ask myself, why after 2 months are we seeing this benefit? And that's because of the incubation time. When people receive or have an experience, it takes time for them to process it. The giver's pro-social acts incubated within, then inspired the receivers to act. The receivers paid their acts of kindness forward with 278% more pro-social behaviors than controls. I think that's very powerful data. Imagine that you have somebody who's just latent, they're inactive, and you serve them. Then give them time to grow, and they will grow and they can respond in a positive way. So from that study, the results showed that everyday kindness is both emotionally reinforcing and contagious. It inspires kindness and generates positive rewards in others. Receiving those everyday kind acts is unequivocally a positive experience, which may further reinforce givers' actions. So, what kind of kindness can you do today? We talked earlier about DNA, serving being in our DNA. I'd like to share this study with you. This is coming from Berkeley. Addicts who are in Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous who helped others through their service significantly improved their chances of staying sober and avoiding relapse. And helpers was very loosely defined. It could be the guy who shows up to shake your hand, the coffee maker, an accountability buddy, a sponsor, a mentor, a minister. When they committed and showed up, those individuals were twice as likely to remain sober 12 months after their initial treatment than those who didn't serve others. Why does that work? Because helping people activates the same brain circuits that light up when a parent cares for the child. The same nurturing that an addict needed as a child is now activated as they serve others. So activating that circuit decreases stress, strengthens immune systems, and inhibits centers in the brain affiliated with hoarding, selfish behaviors, and addiction. I love this. I love the fact knowing that even if somebody comes from a negative background, they still have the capacity to choose to serve in a positive way in their own environment. And by doing so, they can rewire their own brain into a healthy pattern, even if they didn't come wired with it. So service improves our sobriety because it diminishes the self-absorption and egocentrism associated with addiction. For those who are suffering with mental illness, they did a survey of volunteers, and those who were more depressed at the outset were more likely to be helped. And they were more likely to help others. 6 months after regularly serving, depression levels dropped significantly, and many below the level of clinical depression, notwithstanding any risk factors, whether their parents were actively addicted, if they had disabilities, psychiatric diagnoses, learning disabilities, or other socioeconomic factors. Youth who served still showed the same benefits from service. Adults reported their regular volunteer service helped them be 68% physically healthier, 77% showed improved emotional health, 73% showed decreased stress levels. And I wanted to add here, they're not getting rid of responsibilities to serve, they're actually adding to it. They're putting a greater load on, but because of the nature of the load, it's rewiring and restructuring the brain to deal with it better. 100% of all volunteers reported being overall happier. So you can ask yourself, which of these do I want in my life? I would want all of those. In addition to those positive benefits, youth also reported that they had a decreased craving for alcohol and drugs. They had reduced feelings of anxiety and reduced feelings of entitlement. For those who are housebound, there are so many among us as we age or just due to life events, we become housebound or limited in our capacity to go outside and serve. So this study specifically focused on people suffering with MS or multiple sclerosis. They were trained to provide compassionate support to others and ministering to others by providing monthly phone calls. Patients who ministered showed improvements in their self-confidence, self-esteem, decreased levels of pain, decreased levels of depression, stronger sense of meaning and social identity, and improved ability to handle their own disease. I think this is powerful to see that both between Harvard and the University of British Columbia, and again here at Berkeley, all the data comes back showing decreased pain, decreased depression, greater sense of meaning, and greater sense of social identity and connection, which helps us make healthier choices for our own self as well as our community. This last one is powerful. Having an improved ability to handle our own disease, that's life-changing. If somebody said, here, go do this and you'll have an increased capacity to handle the challenges in your life, I would say, yes, I'd go take that. If that were a medication, I'd say, oh yeah, of course. Why wouldn't I? That is the power of service. It literally enables us to deal with our life situations in a better way and have a better positive attitude through the whole thing. For youth, service can help us gain personal development and professional development. It can help the youth through serving, can help build greater unity in their schools and communities, which is the exact opposite of what the violence does. And so by serving, they learn the selflessness through service. They develop compassion. They can use their service opportunities. You can share this with the youth around you. Encourage them to use serving as a dating opportunity. Find one of those JustServe opportunities and go get to know their date through the service. You can use it as weekly family service nights. You can do it with service groups. A lot of schools throughout the country have used JustServe clubs in their high schools, and it has become a momentum for them, and it's changed the culture of and focus of the high schools to become much more inclusive and much more focused on caring for one another and less about the self. So JustServe is more than just a program or a website. It's a movement. It's a way we can live just a few hours each week, and it changes lives. So I would encourage each of you to explore JustServe to find your next opportunity to change. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Did anyone have any ahas? Or did anything surprise you? Anne, you nodded your head.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's really good. I could see our FCE groups, looking into it and deciding on something that some of their members could, or maybe all of them could help with, you know. I really liked that you included how it helps people as they age what they can do, and how it helps with your mental health as you age.
Isn't that powerful?
Yes.
I found that very, very powerful and encouraging to me.
Mm-hmm.
I have a young daughter who's actually serving a full-time mission for our church, and she's suffered with depression. And so they actually switched her mission from and switched her mission in October, and she's able to serve now. Literally, she just serves. She finds opportunities on JustServe, and all of her time is spent in the community, whether it's at the senior center or the food bank or Salvation Army. Her whole mission now is this. And so to watch the difference that it's made in her own mental health has been fantastic. And she's loving it. And I look and I think, wow, if that's not living proof, she's living it. And so it's been really fun to see the difference that it's made for her to be able to just share goodness wherever she goes. And it's been fun. One lady at the senior center yesterday, they were serving lunch and cleaning up, and one of the ladies, and she's in her 50s, she reached over and she's like, how do I go and do what you do? And I thought, oh, how fun is that? You know, it's just being able to go out and serve makes a really big difference, and it brings cheer to people. And it doesn't matter if we're playing the piano, like at the senior center, you can go and play the piano at your local center, or bring joy in music, read books to children in the elementary schools. There's so many different ways. So.
Well, Rebecca, you're talking to a bunch of FCE people, and that's one of our main purposes of our organization. And by the way,
Yes.
Rebecca's not a member yet, but she will be. She just doesn't know it yet. Anyway, so I was at the school the other day, came and did the presentation, and it was wonderful. And this is something that you guys could go and do to get it into the schools. And the schools will let you in there. It's not a solid locked door anymore. There's some procedures you need to go through, but find your teachers that are doing the student leadership, or the class that she went to the other day at the school where I was actually substituting that day was service learning. And the teacher was actually excited to have her come in and talk to the students.
Yeah, Rebecca,
Yes.
be careful if Scott asks you to go fishing and he puts you in a boat and takes you out in the middle of the lake and then says he gives his little membership talk and won't take you back until you say yes.
Thank you for the warning, Anne.
You're welcome.
See, they know me too well. And that's really a true story about one of our members. All right. Anybody else got any questions or comments?
I would like to know if we can get a copy of this, a hard copy.
Well, Loretta, I have her PowerPoint, and I will convert it to a PDF, and I will email it to you.
And I think this is a really good program, because I think when you do serve, whether you keep track of your hours or not, when you serve in some capacity in your community, even if it's just picking up paper or something that somebody's thrown down and putting it in a garbage can, it does make you happier.
Yes.
It does.
And it makes a difference. I lived in a neighborhood I had two people in my neighborhood who independently of one another would walk around, and every morning on their walks, one was in her 70s and the other gentleman was pushing 90, and he would only walk about 1.5 miles, but she would walk a lot further. But they would always have a sack in their hand, and as they walked, they would pick up the garbage and the trash. And it made me want to keep track of my yard better and keep track of my street better. And then pretty soon we'd be walking, and I could be miles from home and see something and think, well, if they can pick it up, I can too. And so pretty soon I'm picking stuff up. But it was because of their example. I don't think I would have done it if I hadn't seen somebody do good. I think I
But-
would have just left it and thought, oh, the street sweepers will get that. But when I saw them caring for their own community, it made a difference in my life. So everything you do that's good, it's helping others. They'll see it.
You know, as a child in the grade school, they made us go out and pick up the paper. And I remember saying, but I didn't throw any down. But everyone had to do it. And it did not hurt us to do it. We might at the time not been happy about it, but it also taught us a lesson.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know whether they do that in the schools, but they should be doing it because it's going to be the way to get people to care about the halls and in the schools, about outside. They just throw things everywhere. At the car wash where I bottle hunt, you cannot believe how careless they are and how they dump things out. A lot of times they don't even put it in the garbage can.
Yep.
But I pick it up.
Okay. Any other comments? I've seen lots of chats come in, and just thanks to you, Rebecca, for your wonderful presentation. I want to remind everybody that it has been recorded and it will be available on the Oregon FCE website probably this afternoon, if not maybe tomorrow, depending on how much time I get worked in here. And our next month is going to be on What's on Your Device, and that's by Faye Spencer out of Kansas. And then on, let's see, that's January, February, March, that's hers. And then in April, we have a gal that does a wonderful presentation on fire lookouts of the Pacific Northwest. And I need other presenters beyond that point. So if you know of anybody, please let me know. Any other final questions?
Scott, this is Janet in Prospecton. I have a question and a comment. First, my comment is that I have found when I want to thank somebody, if I will either just touch the back of their hand or their shoulder and truly look at them and say thank you, it means a whole lot more than just a thank you without that direct contact. And then my question is the comfort bears. So Prospect does bags for the foster child program. And at the end in October, when we put those together, I always have bears left over and we donate those. Are we supposed to report to you how many we donate?
You can send that to me, or you can actually send it to Sally Weifels. You get it to either one of us and it'll be good.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments? And thank you very much. And that's exactly right. You know, when you just touching somebody's shoulder or whatever it is, so you get their attention. I think it's a very good contact, a little, just a touch of their shoulder or whatever it is. So if there's no questions, then I'll just tell everybody, thank you for being here. We did have 22, and I think we had at least 7 states. So I'll give you a little report there. I'll be sending out the next invitation here in a little bit. I usually try to send it out 3 times, and please share that. And if anybody would like, if you know of anybody who would like to be put on my invitation list, just have them send me their email, and I'll do that.
About the burnout thing, I think part of my problem is there are so many things that are interesting and so many things that are fun, and I think I can do them all. And so I try and do them all, and then I get frustrated when I run out of time for things and time schedules and things. I need to learn to be more selective and prioritize and things.
Yep. Okay.
It's a process.
Yeah.
Thank you for all you do, and thank you for hosting.
Thank you for the great program.
All right,
Thank
we'll
you.
see you guys.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank
Thanks, Rebecca.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Scott, there's a lot of comments in the chat.
Yeah, I saw that, and I think
I'm going to send you over the updated. I added a couple of slides with a couple of new research points. So I'll send you that new PowerPoint today,
Okay.
Scott.
okay, and then I'll email that to Loretta.
Okay.
I'll convert it to yeah, send it in a PowerPoint, and then I'll convert it to a. She doesn't do a PowerPoint. She can do the.
PDFs.
Just a PDF.
Yep. So I'll do that. I'll take care of that.
Okay.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Scott, before you go, can you tell me again the website for, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
The FCE website I have to go to get a hard copy of last month's lesson.
You can't get a hard copy of last month's lesson.
I thought it was where you could. I'm sorry.
No, not last month.
I thought that was arranged through the national.
No, it's not.
Okay.
All right.
All
right.
right. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you. I'm going to call you in a minute, Rebecca.
Okay.
Oh.